Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Jocelyn. I call myself the PhD reseller because I have a PhD and I resell. And I'm doing a 7-part video about transitioning from a full-time position to a full-time reseller. And the first couple parts, if you haven't watched them, part 1, I really encourage you to. I'll link them in the description. Part 1 is about the introduction, like how did I get here? What am I doing? What is the point of all of this? Part 2 is about the pros of reselling, because there is some pros of being a full-time reseller. And then part 3 was the cons. Yeah, it happens. That's what we do. It's got cons. Part 3. Part 4 is about how did I get here? Because I got to tell you about what happened. If you like this sort of content, I wouldn't mind if you would please like this video and then subscribe if you're interested in doing this stuff. And watch the other ones that are coming on. There's a couple more and it's getting pretty interesting. So let's go on and talk about part 4, which is what happened. So I used to work at a position. I used to work at a job, full-time position. I was working full-time from home, even though I was slated to return back to the office at some point. Early February, I get an email from I hate to even call him a manager because he really wasn't that well of a manager, but the person who was the person above me. Get an email. Jocelyn, I would like to meet with you in 15 minutes. That's how much they gave me. 15 minutes. And the CC on it was his supervisor. I knew it. I said, okay, it's coming. It's coming. Sure enough, well, because of certain we're going to have to let you go. So fine. A job is a job to me, right? I didn't particularly like the job. I was in that first video when I was like, I hate my job. I didn't really hate it. I've had worse jobs, but I didn't really like it. So it was all right for me. It wasn't a detrimental. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But it did. I mean, I'm going to admit, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about money? What am I going to do about benefits? What am I going to do about all those things? So it wasn't like hip hip hooray. I'm a grown person with grown responsibilities, and what am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? So, again, I was already a part-time reseller, so I said, well, this must be a sign from God that this is really what he wants me to do. So, I literally went downstairs and I grabbed the computer. Now, I grabbed my cell phone. No, I grabbed my tablet because that's what I use. I grabbed my iPad and I pulled out the little lighting things and I pulled out stuff and I started listing. So, well, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So this first thing I did, I start listing more and I posted it to my Facebook group. Hey, y'all, lost my job. Guess I'm going full time now. You can do it, girl. Yeah. Okay. Told my friend, hey, guess who got fired? She was like, who? I'm like, girl, why would I tell you? Why would I ask you that question? It's just me. I got laid off. I got fired. I applied for unemployment. All right. So Georgia does not have the best unemployment numbers. I think we're like or the bottom quartile range of weekly unemployment benefits. But there was the Biden ones that was $300. The other good thing about it was they were paying me for another month. So, and then they were going to pay me like a severance pay and some other stuff. So it was like, okay, I've got the amount of money that I was making anyway. So it's really like a month off vacation, but I just got to start planning. I don't want to just sit on my ass self and not do anything. I want to make sure I prepare. The other thing I started to do was I applied for jobs because look, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm always got my resume going. I've always got my LinkedIn page up. I'm always looking at opportunities all the time. No matter if I'm a full-time reseller or if I'm a full-time employee, I'm always looking at where else can I go just in case it doesn't happen, just in case, it happens where I don't have a job. So how did I feel? Now, party's elated relief. I mean, no one likes to be laid off from a job. I don't care. It doesn't feel good, right? So it wasn't like I said, I wasn't going around doing cartwheels or anything like that. It was scary. What am I going to do? How am I going to make these bills work? And then, well, maybe this is, like I said, the sign from God. Maybe this is God finally telling me after I've been saying for months and months and months, I want to be a full-time. This is it, girl. I'm going to push you out I'm going to make it happen for you. Okay. The other thing that I started to do, which I do recommend to do, is I call creditors. I called them and I said, hey, I just got unemployed due to COVID. What you got for me? Some places had nothing. some people had certain things. Like my credit union, which has the car loan, said you can take a month off, which was nice, right? So it gives me some chance to kind of redirect certain things, and some things turned out to be a disaster, and other things turned out to be okay. But we won't talk about the rest of that. Thanks, mortgage company. Anyways, so what were my days like? I'm finally free. I don't have to be on the computer anymore. I can get up and I can do what I wanted to do. I woke up in the morning, I had my coffee, and then I listed all day. And my butt hurt, and my back hurt. And I went through my death pile, but I did other fun things as well. I went back thrifting a little bit. I made some YouTube videos. I went to my first Goodwill bins. I did a lot of just things, some fun stuff. So it wasn't all bad. So I did that. And then what I would do is I would list till about 2. I'd lay on the couch for an hour, and I'd get up and I would see if I had any more sales, and I would go to the post office at 3 o'clock, and I was done. So 7:30 to 3:30, pretty nice. Those are extra. Those aren't even banking hours. Those are great hours. So what are some things I discovered? So, you're like, you sound pretty good. You sound pretty enthused. Yeah, what are the things I discovered? All right. So as I'm increasing, and I think over this time, I probably about maybe doubled the amount of listings that I had across all the sites. The amount of sales that increased, or the money that I was getting, worked more like a faucet versus a hose. I made more money, but it was slow. It was like, turn on versus. And that just has to do with maybe just the items that I particularly have. I don't have a lot of big ticket items that I do. I don't have like big VCRs, whatever. I don't have a lot of electronics. I don't have, a lot of things. Most of the stuff is just like stuff I'm pulling from my house that maybe is like out of dated. My clothes, as you can see, I'm not the most fashionable person out there. But so it became, and I had already decided months ago to stop thrifting as much. And it was really, really important now to not thrift as much, because I wasn't going to get a paycheck in a few months. Remember, at that time, I was a part-time reseller. So now the check is gone. It'll be gone in a month. And $600 a week wasn't going to do much. That didn't cover the mortgage. So I could not go out there and thrift as much. I can't go buy pallets because I've got to be conservative with my money, because I don't know what the future will hold. And therefore, I listed more, but I was just listing more of the stuff that I already had. So it was, again, a faucet, turn on the faucet. It wasn't like turning on a hose. The second thing was the results I didn't see till about a month or 2 later. Like, I got laid off in February, and you would have thought February's numbers were hot. The numbers that were hottest were March and April. So it took some time for me to actually start seeing those changes. So if you are doing this and you're like stressed because you're like, I'm listing and nothing's moving, it might take you some time for everybody else to catch up with all the wonderful things that you're trying to do. It was extremely stressful. I was so stressed when I first started, and it was all consuming. Because again, it's not just I'm doing this for fun, or I'm doing this for whatever, or I'm doing this to pay off a credit card. I'm doing this to pay the mortgage, the house bill. Now at some point I'm going to have to pay the medical bills. I need to take care of everybody. I need to feed myself. I need to make this work, versus a job where you're sort of like, yeah, I'm going to try to make the job work. If you come and you're doing stuff, you may not get fired or laid off, but there's not that pressure like, oh my gosh, if I don't. Of course, there are certain things like sales. I understand things of that nature, but that pressure was so all consuming, and there were days where I just laid on the couch. I said, I can't think anymore. I'm doing so much and it's moving, but not at the speed train that I need to do. It's like that little choo-choo, It's, who was that? Thomas the Train, not Thomas the Train, but the little engine that could. It's the little engine that could. It's not Amtrak, right? So it was really hard, and it was very stressful. I got a little depressed, not clinically depressed, but I did get a little depressed. I remember I said, it was like 4 days. It's like, I'm not doing anything 4 days. I'll ship stuff. I'm not watching YouTube videos. I'm not making YouTube videos. I'm not doing anything for 4 days. And I ended up just laying on the couch. My house got behind because I was doing all day long. The house was a mess because I was pulling inventory into, it was not the whole pleasant experience of just, I'm going to go and start. But just understand that this was my perspective and this is what happened to me. You may have somebody else that has a completely different thing. I was like, do I go and get a storage unit? And I was like, no, by the time I get a storage unit, I got to pack all this stuff up, put it into a U-Haul because I don't have a truck. I have a car. So I got to rent a U-Haul. And then I was just like, I just got to figure out how to make it work, how I'm doing it. The amount of work I was doing wasn't equal to the output. It just wasn't. And I'm not sure if it's just 2021. We've had a really weird kind of couple months, and spring's been a little slow for everybody, but I was working my tail off and the output was not matching the input, meaning the amount of sales. They were increasing, but they weren't just like this whole big guffaw of money and stuff that I was hoping for. So I started to get, it was pretty stressful. So there were good parts and there were bad parts, right? I didn't have to worry about being a micromanaging manager who liked to just text and send me messages and wonder where I was at randomly during the day when he hadn't reached out to me in a month. None of my coworkers reached out to me after I got laid off. Nobody. Not one message, not one text message. So, for me, a job's a job, so I even like that job wasn't for me. And that's okay. The other thing was, it was nice to go do the certain things I like to do. It was nice going out in the middle of the day and doing what I needed to do. It was nice. It wasn't all bad. It was stressful, yes, but it wasn't all bad either. So I just wanted to give you that perspective to let you know what happened, how it felt, and where I, sort of the reality of what it was actually like when I first started. I know a lot of times, we see the YouTube videos and it seems like so much fun, but it is a whole heck of a lot of work doing this full time, not having anybody to help. I don't have any help, doing everything on your own. So if you're like that, just, don't be so hard on yourself. It's easy to get down and it's easy to get hard on yourself. So anyways, that's the video for part 4. Next, I'm going to talk about part 5, which was the job offer. And what were the things? Now that one's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to talk to you about every last thing I went through to figure out whether or not I can continue to do reselling or whether or not I would have to go back and take the job. And I think that's going to be the most important one if you're going to be interested, if you're interested in doing this as a full-time job. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you watch the other parts and then stay tuned and watch part 5. All right. See you next time. Bye.